why should the people listen to you?
Because, unlike other movie review channels, I can speak with a mediocre English accent. Robin Hood, Men in Tights, released in 1993 and is directed by Mel Brooks, who has directed such amazing comedies like Blazing Saddles, Young Frankenstein, The Producers, and Spaceballs. And this film has an amazing all-star comedic cast of Richard Lewis, Roger Rees, Amy Yasbeck, Dave Chappelle, Isaac Hayes, Tracy Ullman, and starring as Robin Hood, Cary Elwes, who I know everyone that I have met says that, oh, he is a sweetheart and he's just the most lovable person ever, but when me and my wife met him at Comic-Con one year, he was very strange. We waited in line to have him sign our copy of Princess Bride, and we asked him to write "This is the Claw" as his little note for the autograph, and he looked at us very puzzled, and he was like, why would you want me to write that line from another movie in this book that's about a different movie? And I felt like we offended him, and I'm not sure why. Also, the other part of me was like, well, I'm paying you for your autograph, so could you at least write what we want? It's a line that you said. It's one of my favorite lines that you've said. And I explained that to him, but he was still a little put off by it. I guess the moral of the story here is that my wife and I pissed off Robin Hood from Robin Hood Men in Tights, which is kind of cool. Robin of Locksley has returned from the Crusades looking to enjoy his home life now that the war is over. However, once he returns to England, he finds that his home has been stolen from him, and the land is under awful taxation laws from Prince John. So Robin of Locksley does his best to inspire the peasants of medieval England to overthrow Prince John and the Sheriff of Rottingham, and also to capture the heart of Maid Marian. Little caveat here, this is probably going to be the worst review that I've ever done, because I feel like I'm not going to review this movie at all. I'm just going to, very easily slide into just quoting this thing verbatim, because that's what I did in the 90s. Between this movie, Spaceballs, Liar Liar, I would just watch those on repeat and memorizing them as best as possible, getting down everything as perfect as possible. That way I could recite it to friends at school, or to put on a show for the talent show in high school, which me and my friends actually did. We did the Men in Tights dancing thing, and we put on the pantyhose. I thought we did an okay job. We did not win, but it was very fun. The great thing about Mel Brooks is that whenever you mention his name, a smile usually comes over the person's face, whoever says the name. He is behind some of the most iconic comedic films in the history of cinema, and they're all parodies on famous genres or famous films from Hollywood that came out maybe years prior. Blazing Saddles is a rip on all the spaghetti westerns that we got through the 40s, 50s, and 60s. Spaceballs is an obvious parody on Star Wars, and then a couple of Star Trek references in there. We also get a little bit of Alien in there as well. Basically anything sci-fi space related. And Young Frankenstein, of course, is a parody on the 1930s Frankenstein, it's probably his best work. I would say it's Young Frankenstein or this movie, Robin Hood Men in Tights, is his best work. And it's a shame because I think he only directed one more film after this, and then he hasn't done anything in regards to directing film after that, after the 90s, which is a shame. I mean, he's still alive, at least at the time of this recording. I think it's just something to do with all the comedy and all the laughs that he's just given us over the years. I think that feeds the soul, or maybe that's the cure for eternal life, because that man, he's still alive. Plus, he also took it easy after the 90s, and then moved his way to Broadway, because he came out with Young Frankenstein the Musical, and The Producers the Musical, which is one of the best musicals ever created. It won, like, 13 Tony Awards. It set the record. I say he worked on those shows when really he kind of just sang a tune in his head of how he thought the music in the show would go, and then other artists expanded it and then created the show from that. So, I mean, it's his stuff, so, I mean, he made a bunch of money and he could slap his name on it, so there you go. But watching this movie again, it just reminded me of my childhood, because I love this movie so much, quoting it constantly, even when I wasn't paying attention to the TV, maybe doing something else while this was playing in the background, I was still quoting it in my head. And I'm just reminded of how perfect and how on point every single actor in this movie is. Cary Elwes, regardless of how he is off screen. On screen, he has such charisma, he has great comedic timing. A lot of the times it's very dry humor, but he does get a little bit of the slapstick stuff too. And he's so charming. You see him in the Robin Hood getup and you go, yeah, that's Robin Hood. That's the Errol Flynn Robin Hood style, which I'm sure that's what the costuming was based on. Dave Chappelle is here. This is my first blood with Dave Chappelle. Before he had his own show on Comedy Central, I knew him from this movie. He plays the cool dude, a Chew. A Jew? Here? No, not a Jew, a Chew. Richard Lewis playing Prince John, who is just this apathetic actor. I don't think he's ever cared about anything, or at least it comes across like he doesn't care at all. He's just kind of saying the lines, and yeah, he's kind of that crooner. He's that Frank Sinatra type style here. And he has this mole that keeps moving in every single scene that he is in. There was one time my brother and I were just sitting in the car waiting for our parents to come out of the grocery store or whatever, and we were just sitting there, and out of nowhere we turn and look at each other and we go, I have a mole? It was one of the coolest moments we've ever had as brothers, and I still remember it to this day. From now on, all the toilets in the land shall be known as John's. Put him in the Tower of London. Make him part of the tour. And Roger Rees as Mervyn, the Sheriff of Rottingham, is probably my favorite character in this entire movie. How brilliant was it? Just out of nowhere, the decision to make this character, this typical, just evil character who would kill anyone who crossed him in any other iteration of Robin Hood, let's make him dyslexic, and let's make him not so menacing in this movie. Brilliant! King, illegal forest, 2 pig wild killed in it at is. I mean, don't you know it is illegal to kill a pig in the king's forest? He dared to kill a king's dare. Dared to kill a king's deer. And Mark Blankfield as Blinken, their blind and noble servant. As a kid, he was probably my favorite, but as I gotten older, Sheriff of Rottingham that he takes the crown. But back then, whenever Blinken was on screen, fighting with the column inside the Great Hall and shivering it down, the part where he falls off and says, "Oh, I can see," runs directly into a tree and goes, "Nope, I was wrong." And the whole listing of everyone in Robin's life who died since he was gone, it's perfect. I saw a meme the other day where they went through that speech and said, yep, that was 2020 and 2021 for me so far. Yeah, basically. My father, he's dead. And my mother, well, she died of ammonia while you were away. My dog Pongo ran over by a carriage. My goldfish Goldie, eaten by the cat. My cat choked on the goldfish. Oh, it's great to be home, ain't it, Master Robin? Guys, I'm losing it. I'm sorry, I'm not reviewing this thing. I'm just talking about how much I love this movie, and I'm just reciting it. I'm so sorry. It's gonna continue, though, because I can't help it. It's a major parody on all of the Robin Hood stories, films, TV shows that have come out over the last 100 years. I mean, what, there's 200 versions of Robin Hood. Even up to this point in the 90s, there were 200 versions. In particular, this one was parodied off of Robin Hood, Prince of Thieves, that came out in 91 with Kevin Costner, who does a perfect English accent throughout the entire movie flawlessly. It's one of my favorite movies. It's definitely in my top 20. It's one of the first movies that I remember just watching on repeat and trying to memorize, getting this muscle down, and I just remember playing Robin Hood in my basement, replaying all the scenes. It was one of the first things that I collected action figures for. I love that movie, and because I love it so much, I think I respect this movie that much more, because I think anytime that you love something so much, it's kind of nice to kind of go back and bust its balls a little bit, bust its chops. In other words, I kid because I love. Pardon me, Don Giovanni, your lizard seems limp.
Oh, no, God, my head. Oh, my lizard. Oh, no, he's just sleeping. Charlie, here, take Charlie here. He's not cooperating.
I'm trying to figure out how cohesive this review is, because I can only assume it's not. Guys, I can't state here how much I love this movie. It reminds me of my childhood. It is a great ensemble piece. We have great humor all throughout, and there is a solid, heartfelt story here. Unlike parody films that we've gotten over the last 20 years with Scary Movie, Disaster Movie, Epic Movie, any of those blank movies. Those are all just hey, let's just take this scene from that movie and let's just redo it. Without any thought, we're just gonna redo it this way, and that's funny. Here, though, there is essence of that, but it all plays into the story, and it all plays into the characters. It all makes sense. In my opinion, this is one of, if not the best parody films that have ever been made. I could pop it in and watch it at any point. I Hadn't done that for a couple of years, so I'm glad that Rusted Beetle and Mrs. Rusted Beetle recommended this for me. It's a great trip down memory lane, and there's no way I couldn't recommend this for you if you haven't seen it already. I'm gonna give Robin Hood Men in Tights 5 out of 5 Blu-rays.
I think I see blue. He looks glorious.
Alright everyone, now comes my favorite part of my video is where I randomly select which movie I'm going to be watching next, so let's take a look. Taxi Driver! And this is Taxi Driver, not A Taxi Driver, which is a Korean film that I reviewed early last year, I believe. No, this is the Robert De Niro classic 70s Martin Scorsese film, Taxi Driver. I've only seen this movie once, and it was actually during a movie review class that I was taking in college. I think it was just a generic gen ed language arts class or writing class, but on the first day we find out that, oh, we're going to be watching movies and writing reviews on it. That's what we're doing here. Oh my god, this is the best class I've ever taken, and it's just the first day. It introduced me to a lot of classic cinema. This was one of them, so I'm excited to check this one out. It's been a very long time. If any of you have recommendations of films that you want me to review on here, you can leave a recommendation below this video, or go to my Facebook page, my Instagram, or my Twitter, leave your recommendation there, and if I have access to it, I will watch, review it, and give you a shout on the channel. And if you want me to do your recommendation as quickly as I possibly can and bypass the whole random generator that I have here, you can make a PayPal donation on the main page of my YouTube channel. Any size donation will do, just attach your movie with the donation, and if I have access to it, I will watch it and publish my review of it as quickly as I possibly can. So guys, if you've seen Robin Hood Men in Tights, what did you think about it? Or if you've never seen it before and you stumbled across it because of this video, then comment below, let me know what you thought about it. And as always, if you like what you see here, if you like my take on movies, then hit the subscribe button and make sure you hit that bell. See you the next time I release my next movie review. So guys, I will see you next time with my review of Taxi Driver. So in the meantime, be well, be good to each other, and go watch your movie. Take care, guys.